One.
Well, don't we have some action today? Unfortunately, that old adage, we'll talk about it in a few minutes, Rosh Hashanah Bar Yom Kippur, is kind of playing out today. Humana, destruction, buy the dip at your own risk. UNH holding up. Nike, rally, dashed. War stocks, up. We got a lot to cover. It's midweek on pre-market prep.
Welcome to Benzinga's pre-market prep.
This is a volatile puppy here.
It's all about execution styles and strategies.
All right, traders and investors, we're down not as much as I thought we would be. Nearly 15 handles at 57.45 after a 50 handle haircut yesterday. The buck up a dime, 101.03, TLT flat 98.47. Crude up on war worries. Didn't mention oil stocks. We'll have to cover that too, AB. Gold in the red by nearly $20 at 26.70. Silver back under 32, down a couple pennies, 31.71. Bitcoin, that's joining the rest of the crowd here, down $500 at 61,465. Let's bring on Triple D. Welcome back, AB. Gentlemen, what a Wednesday show we have lined up for our listening audience.
Yeah, for not being in earnings season, we have a lot of news. We have a lot of major individual headlines really driving stocks here today. And we have a big macro picture driving stocks here as well. So there's lots to talk about here. We're going to try to squeeze it all in here. So we might have to lead the Tigers, big victory yesterday. Talking about that, we might have to leave that on the sidelines here for now. But congrats to the Tigers. Yesterday, one more. We need one more. Wow. I don't even know what to say here. I kind of want to start with Humana, even though we have so many other stories. We have war, China, so many things to talk about, but this Humana just jumps out like a sore thumb on my screen here today. It gets rocked for like $30 yesterday, and people coming and buying the dips. I saw them saying, yep, buy the dip. This goes to show, don't buy the dip on day one. You usually don't want to buy the dip on day one when it's a bad headline. And we get the bad headline. Now you get multiple analyst commentary here talking about their earnings getting whacked. AB, give us these details here on Humana, because this stock is your disaster stock of the day.
Yeah, and the title of the show, An Unhealthy Market, because, of course, Humana, the healthcare insurance company. So basically, there are these Medicare Advantage star ratings. Last year, 94% of Humana's members had four stars or higher. So either 4 stars, 4.5 stars, or 5 stars on this plan. This year, a change in some sort of contract is now leaving Humana with only 25% of its members in plans rated 4 stars or higher. So last year, they had 94% of their members in 4-star or higher plans. This year, it's only set to be 25%, which then limits the amount of money that Humana gets for, different things from like the government and stuff. So either way, the plans here, the Medicare Advantage star ratings here is bad news for Humana. They're saying the article that I read this morning is saying that there could be some, despite appealing potential errors in the rating calculations and actively working on improvement strategies to boost future performance and quality payouts, Humana acknowledges increased risk in meeting its financial targets while remaining committed to enhancing value for customers and shareholders. So either way, it sounds like Humana came out and said, like, yeah, this isn't good for our financial targets, but they're trying to work on it. That's basically the headline. What's hammering Humana, not just this morning, but hit yesterday as well.
And it appears what Humana's loss seems to be UNH and the other healthcare providers' gain here, because UNH is ripping this morning. It's up 15 points. CVS is trading up another 4% here. We know they got the Aetna back on them. This is a hard one to figure out. The love triangle, and obviously there's others. There's CI. Well, Point or whatever it is, Wellcare. There's just a pile of these things to trade. It's a tough one to figure out because naturally thinking, you'd think like, well, Humana getting whacked, they're going to whack UNH too. But that is not happening. That is not happening at all. The opposite is occurring where UNH is actually rallying on this. So this is very interesting.
I wish I could speak a little bit more intelligently on this, but I do know just from talking with Lisa that a lot of the insurance reimbursements and payments are being tied now to quality control, meaning doctors that don't catch original diagnoses and someone has to go to another doctor. They're penalized for that. And I don't know how this all plays into it. The company said they expect star results not to impact financial results. Obviously, no one is believing that with the price action. It did get hit. I will say you're back to the COVID low. I don't, there's not investment advice, but your low for the day could be in after this shellacking because you got down to your COVID low. Your COVID low,
Yeah.
yeah, was
Yeah.
207. Let me pull it up.
208.25.
208.25.
And
And
we have, it
yep,
appears that pretty much exactly hitting the pre-market. So it's a big level, Joel, that you've discovered here. We're 10
yeah.
points off those lows. I don't know if I have the guts to come in here and buy the dip on this. Half of Twitter seems to be buying the dip, but a lot of people were buying the dip yesterday and they got punished for it. All I'll say is when you get a bad headline, usually let it settle, let the dust settle. Don't try to be the hero and buy on day one because a lot of times this is what happens. You get the follow through, and the follow through is more vicious than the initial move. I mean, think about Elf Beauty, the initial headline, stock goes down and then continues to go down. Doesn't seem like it's ever going to go up again. Celsius grows slow in a little bit. That's the end of the story. This is a completely different story. This has been a company that has actually, played and held in portfolios as a defensive stock. So when you have a defensive stock trading down almost 60% from the all-time high, that's a concern. Maybe it's more than 60%, 571 to 210, like 65% from the all-time high. I do think there's going to be some people looking to buy the dip on this thing, though. So I like your 210 number.
Yeah.
Again, maybe short leash it. Joel's giving you the number. It starts breaching 200. Maybe you got to say, I got to cut it out. This is going to be very, very, very interesting to see what happens here. And like I said, I don't think anybody anticipated a UNH and CVS rally on this news because they are popping up. Maybe there's another headline there, but you're seeing the other ones pop up. So also algos, they don't want to knock the XLV down, so they're going to buy other stocks in the index. But maybe what Humana's loss is UNH's gain here.
Well, the XLV, I mean, I don't know what top components are in that, but the XLV down 43 cents. Humana taking
it's all Humana.
It's all Humana.
It is all Humana. So without these other stocks being up, XLV would be down a lot more. But because you've got now UNH trading higher and CVS trading higher, that's why XLV is holding up very well. And, wouldn't be surprised if UNH can actually open up where it is, that the XLV could possibly even open higher. So I would not, I wouldn't have the guts to be buying UNH on this. Like my natural tendency is to sell it here, thinking
well, it depends.
I'm not doing
anything either. But if I was a hedge fund,
this one.
If I was a hedge fund and I was short X amount of shares and I missed the pre-market action, down to that low, or I had puts or anything like that, I'd be like, okay, I got to be calm. Maybe I missed the low. I got to get my bids out there. I don't want to spook the market and start, because if they just start lifting offers, this thing's going to be at like 230, 235. And, the algos that sold it all the way down, if they sniff out a 10, 20,000 share buyer, but we'll see. I mean, that's a historical move. And you know what? If you look at the monthlies on this, this peaked in late 2022. So this has not participated in a bull market. It's actually had a very bad year. So
real bad.
Yeah, someone was anticipating this. So we'll see what happens here. Down $60 at 220. I gave you that pre-market low. and that is coinciding with your COVID low, folks. There you go. Got a good number. All right.
I mean,
What else we got?
Elevance Health,
What's
CI, UNH, these things are all at all-time highs or very close to them. And then this is the outlier. So now, you know how we always separate best of breed, worst of breed? I think the market has clearly separated the Humana as worst of breed and the healthcare providers. So what do you do with worst of breed companies? You don't usually buy them. You don't usually buy them. I don't know. Maybe they're going to figure their stuff out. But, we saw, Advanced Auto Parts versus AutoZone. I mean, AutoZone's at all-time highs. Advanced Auto Parts is at all-time lows. I mean, when you start doing separation, that's an issue. So I don't know if this is just like the best buying opportunity of all time, like Twitter's trying to tell me this morning. I do think I like Joel's level, though, at 208 because this is definitely oversold. So as a trade, maybe as a long-term investment, I don't know. Jury's out here, man. People were saying this at 400. It was a good long-term investment. It just got cut in half again. So tough stock. AB, you buy the dip in Humana?
No, I will not buy the dip in Humana. I am, we talked about UNH in the pre-market show. I do have some UNH in my long-term portfolio. You guys kind of spooked me on that. I don't know if I should sell it. I don't know.
I'm scared for it. I'm scared of UNH right now. But you know what? It's again, the stock's at all-time highs. They're not selling it off on this news. So the tape is, in your favor here, AB. They're actually rallying it on this news. But again, it just scares you. When you see one stock in the sector getting whacked like that, it scares you holding other stocks. So I'm nervous for you, but at the same time, I'm not making a trade on it.
How about if you, and I know we don't have the whole exact thing because Dennis says the Starbucks has continued higher, but what if you never traded this spread before? I mean, how many standard deviations does this have to be on the spread in this? So I just think you got natural, but we were just rallied $5 here. For people that have never had this spread on before, it's millions of if you didn't get absolutely crushed in it. I mean, how could you not be tempted to put it on? That's the only thing a little bit of a hedge trade. But we got ADP coming up in a couple minutes. Let's get one more stock in. We gotta move.
All right, let's just do it, Joel. Let's just do it. Let's go to Nike.
Oh, I knew it. Nice one.
Let's go to Nike. Nike reported yesterday after the close. Of course, EPS came in at 70 cents. That beat the 52-cent estimate. Sales came in at 11.59 billion. That beat the that missed the 11.65 billion dollar estimate. So you had the EPS beat. You had the slight sales miss. And then the company came in and withdrew its forward guidance. They did talk a little bit about the CEO transition, said a comeback at this scale takes time, but we see
it takes time.
But we see early wins.
So,
wait. Anytime you're withdrawing the forward guidance, the market doesn't like the uncertainty. So the stock actually dipped on that, as well as, again, there seems to be just a shakeup happening at Nike here with the CEO transition. Gonna take some time.
I don't know what to say about Nike. I mean, it had run up, obviously, and the CEO change and the excitement around that. And now you get the realization.
ADP, Dennis, ADP. I don't know if you're going to get picked off here or not, but
it's already went. So I was going to get picked off. It was going to have already happened. Those algos.
I don't know. We're trying to catch them. What do we got? What do we got for ADP here? Not a lot of movement. I did go to the 1 minute, maybe a little premature here. I will just say for all your
143,000.
Okay.
Yeah. That's against estimates of 128, so a slightly hot number.
Slightly hot. I really don't think what we're going to see is going to affect the Fed, even with the jobs number on Friday, and then you do have some data coming out. Is it? Yeah, next week you have the inflation data. But just like a general thing here for if you're trading today is the mark. Look at the mark. I mean, bad day yesterday. People tried to buy the dip yesterday. S&P spent very little time above that this morning. So really the onus is on the bulls is to get to sing green, and it's also to defend yesterday's low, which they did in the overnight session. So pretty loosey goosey between 57.35 and 57.60, but there's your parameters early in the session. I'll go back to the Nike here, and Jay put it
Yeah.
in the chat earlier. I mean, these CEOs coming in. I mean, they're going to immediately do a turnaround. I mean, like
No.
it's going to take and that's why I'm a little
No.
skeptical on this Starbucks, even though the price action is proving me wrong. I mean, how do you just turn around a company like that fast? Until
No.
Starbucks stops making all these fancy drinks. That's the frustrating thing. You go in there and someone has a double extra latte with skim milk, and it takes 15 minutes for them to make, and
It
you're
costs 10
standing,
bucks.
and it costs $10, and you're standing there in line. So maybe he can figure that out. I don't know, but just when this
Is the new Nike
turnarounds,
CEO going to be able to stop, on from selling shoes? Is it going to
no,
be able to like take care of the competition? Like this is an issue of Nike not being the leader maybe anymore. Maybe not just like everybody has to wear a pair of Nikes. They've just
it's not.
lost that brand, that I have to have Nike because it's the name. That is going to be very, very difficult to rebuild. And I think a lot of people who were buying this for the turnaround story at 85, 87, 89 just got slapped in the face with the realization that the competition is here to stay. I hate this stock.
I could just give you a
I'm,
real
I'm
life.
not saying it can't rally back up. People have hope. The dip maybe gets bought. But this is, I've hated this stock for a while here, Nike. The rally been very significant here. But I feel like when we look at this stock 5 years from now, I'm not sure it's any higher.
I can just give you a real life example. I bought 2 pairs of runners over the last few years. One pair was some Hokas, which I really liked, and they're kind of old man shoes, but that's okay. I'm an old man. And then after that, I got a pair of New Balance, and now I'm looking for
Lots of
another pair.
options.
And
Lots of
I
options.
gotta try these on. I gotta try these things, man. I
Yeah.
mean, I
Yeah,
gotta
man.
try them on.
Yeah.
I'm not in for like no laces. I like, like when I'm working out or doing a lot of walking, I like, a nice tight fit. But I'm not, I'm like I have a pair of Nikes. I think I threw a couple pairs out on my last shoe overhaul here. But market settling down here after the ADP. We'll bring back AB here. Where do we want to go? Do we want to
Let's
go?
go. Let's go. I mean, we got to talk
China?
about what's going on
War.
we don't have to talk about the actual what's going on in the Middle East, but just the market impact here. So,
Yeah.
taking a look at the defense stocks, LMT, RTX, this comes, of course, as there are escalations going on in Israel and Gaza here. You had Iran launching missiles into Israel after Israel killed one of Hezbollah's leaders, and then Israel saying there's going to be an answer, all this stuff. Either way, I believe did the U.S. said we're sending people over there now too, right, Joel?
They did that last week.
Okay.
Yeah, sent reinforcements over there. I mean, I don't know what to say about this. I mean, we're gonna bring this in, to the war stocks here. And Nate Dennis, I know you tweeted it out early yesterday.
Yeah.
Big moves in these things. I know your favorite.
Yeah.
You've talked about it for years. AV. I mean, boy, oh boy. I mean, look.
It's the one that nobody talks about. So everybody naturally thinks Lockheed Martin, NOC, General Dynamics, RTX. Nobody mentions AVAV. The media doesn't even touch it. It's not even on their radar. I'm telling you, this is the future of warfare. When you watch those videos, it's this stock. The drone technology here is nothing short of absolutely incredible. You watch that one video and they launch the drone with the missile on it, and the drone will like see its target, and like it's being controlled obviously by remotely, but if the target hides, the drone just waits. The missile can just wait, and then the target comes out, and it waits hours sometimes, and then the target comes out, and then it nails it. It's unbelievable. The drone technology that AeroVironment is working on is just absolutely incredible. It's a huge position in my long-term portfolio. I bought it back when we talked about it, 125. Still in it. Again, I think they can move this drone technology into other stuff too. So I think it's not just going to be a war play. But right now, this is the environment where this stock is going to do good. It's the AeroVironment environment. So it was quietly up 7% yesterday, more than all the other war stocks. No mention from. I didn't see CNBC mention it at all. This is the under the radar, which shouldn't be, but this is the under the radar war play.
Some people in the chat talking about this RCAT stock too, ticker RCAT, up 15%. Looks like this is in the drone space as well. That could potentially get some. Let's see. A company announced a partnership with Paladine AI to embed AI into Teal drones to enable autonomous operation. So this is a smaller stock, more of a speculative play, but this one is running it as well.
People talking about the PE. The PE is not cheap on AVAV. They never are. One thing you got to consider and learn this, folks, is that if you're just purely looking at, I only buy stocks at PE at 10, you're buying a lot of trashy companies that don't have growth. That's the bottom line. If you want to get into some good stocks, I always say growth at a reasonable valuation. When I bought AVAV, it was trading like 35 times earnings. So, it wasn't cheap. It has grown. So the problem is the stocks went up and almost doubled here now. So I haven't even looked at the PE. I'm sure it's up there at 60 or 70. Yeah, 66 times forward earnings now because just the prices went up. Remember, though, there's growth here. So I think, as, they start selling more and more of these war drones, they see how efficient they are. I mean, when you watch those videos, there's room for a lot of growth here. There's contracts that are there. The stock only has a market cap of $5 billion. That's another way to look at it here. Not comparing it, but Lockheed Martin, $144 billion. It's a speck of dust compared to the other big, war stocks. If NASA or if they started to look at, looking into like aerospace and stuff, I don't know if there's going to be that potential to grow there. But, just sticking with it, just a war stock. Let's say they don't grow into other things. But, if they did drone delivery or if they can get into other, space stuff or different things, I could see potential for, growth elsewhere. But just sticking it as a war stock, even if the U.S. government looks at this and says, hey, this is a way to, one, keep our troops safer, and two, this is so efficient. They could eat some of the pie from some of the majors. So I think there's room for this thing to grow. So I'm sticking with it.
Just 50% retracement. Someone mentioned 82 at Nike. I see a battle going on right now. But if you are looking to buy the dip in this, halfway back of this move is about 80.5, 81, and there's a little gap in here. So if the bulls are going to make a stand, it's in this gap $80 area. You know what got a little boost yesterday too from this war stuff? Boeing. Remember, they were talking. It was rumored, as you pointed out yesterday about the offering, and that ended up undercut and rally, made a new low for the recent downturn and got back above it. So you gotta uncle point here if you have the stomach to try and buy Boeing here. That low from yesterday, you're only $4 away. But once again, you're trying to pick a bottom, but at least you have an identifiable technical level that, if you lose money, you can say, hey, you tried. I tried to risk reward. I'm hoping for a little
I've tried picking the bottom on Boeing before, and this one almost seems like impossible because it's just the negative headlines that come out every time Boeing pops up. Like talking about floating a $10 billion offering here. Like, that was the news yesterday. And then the war, everybody forgets about that. What do you think happens when the stock pops up? What do you think the company's saying? Ooh, good time to do that offering.
I would have done the offering.
And then you're going to shove an offering down your throat. I think that's what happens. Pops up to 160, 165. Like, yeah, let's get that offering out there. We need some cash. And kaploy, it goes right back down. That's the problem here. This is just a mess. Think about the stocks that are just a mess. And sometimes we always talk about, everybody wants, what's the good stock? What's the next good one? Sometimes it's just better to think about which stocks are just, kind of a mess and play the short side on them. There's just so many that are just, in a mess right now. And Boeing is one of them too. There's just so many of them that are just a mess. Even to Nike's story. You had the nice pop up here on the CEO, goes 75 to 89, then bam, bam, we'll get back 2 months of gains, just like that, 81. There you go. Crappy stocks are crappy stocks.
All right. Well, we're staying pre-market prep international this morning. We were just in the Middle East. Now we're going to go over to Asia. We got to talk about these Chinese stocks still ripping higher. Baba up another $4.50
I don't
this
even
morning.
know what to say.
This comes as the start of Golden Week, National Day Golden Week in China, which means the markets are closed in China, but not in Hong Kong. I honestly don't really know exactly what Golden Week is. I think like everyone's off work, people are traveling. I think we should have a week where everyone's just off here. That'd be nice. Either way, I mean, bottom line is the strength is just continuing in these Chinese stocks. No specific headline driving Baba higher here. I think it's just momentum, and you're seeing the momentum continue, getting close to that 120 level.
I don't even know what to say on these stocks, AB. Like everything in my trading power wants me to sell them because this move, I don't know. Like I can't remember the last time FXI was up 30% in like 2 weeks or whatever it is. Like this is just an incredible. I said it 3 times move. I'm long Baba. I haven't sold a share yet. I sold a little bit of Baidu. I still have over a full size position. It was just a double size position. I'm like, I'm going to lighten up my Baidu to a normal size position. And then I lighten it up, and then it goes up another $7 today. I mean, it's like, well, why did I lighten it up at all? And I mean, these stocks are still cheap. So, I mean, that's the whole thing. The story all of a sudden is good, and the stocks valuations are just a joke still. Bob is trading 13 times forward earnings after this run. You know, maybe it's 14 times with today. Baidu's trading at, let's get Baidu, try and put trusty Benzinga Pro slow right now on the uptake. There we go. Baidu trading 10 times forward earnings. Now, again, maybe that's not today. So maybe it's 11 times forward earnings. I mean, these stocks are dirt cheap. The whole reason was that the China, obviously, you know, you never know when they're going to harpoon their own companies, but now they're doing the opposite. And they're trying to, you know, get the stock market to come back. That's why Tepper said, buy any dips you get, because the valuations here are still ridiculously cheap. So does that mean you chase them when they run 30% in a week? No, but dips are going to probably get bought, just like they were 2 days ago.
Rotation. I think there's a massive rotation. You know, they get started. They're, you know, I see what they did to Apple yesterday. It was almost like, I mean, you had the Barclays note that got things going, and then of course, you know, that headline at 9:35 about you know, Iran, which, you know, turned out to be factual. They're just selling. They're selling these tech stocks. I mean, Nvidia, you know, had that rally. Looked like we were breaking out at 120. Wrong. So I mean, you know, there's money coming out of that. There's just a real clear rotation going on. It's like
Yeah.
the, you know, what they're buying, and it's China. I looked at the base on this, and I did Jay mentioned it. I mean, so sleepy, so long. I mean, when I look at a chart like this, and you know, something that Baba, you know, peaking at, you know, 318.66, and then troughing out here at 57.35. I mean, just natural. This has just not had a major retracement yet. And I figured the 50 before. I mean, that's way up there, like 185, 187. I
Oh,
don't.
and the whole move.
Yeah, I mean,
Well,
you
is
know,
that out of the question? I mean, not saying it's going straight there, but I mean, is this like the turn? And now we see the violent spike. You're going to get an eventual sell-off, but that's eventual sell-off is probably a buying opportunity. Maybe the story has officially changed with China. Maybe it has. Maybe this is just a big trap to trap the trap of all traps, Joel. I mean, you know, because it's such a ridiculous rally, but I just, you know, I look at this, and to your point, you want to go pay 30 times earnings for Apple when they're talking about the iPhone sales sucking? Or do you want to go pay 12 times earnings for Baba, you know, with, you know, growth that they've had actually? I mean, when you look at where Baba was to where the earnings were, I mean, it's unbelievable. You know, the stock price only went down, the earnings have only went up. So it's difficult to like just come out here and say, sell, you know, this is just another head fake. I mean, maybe it's different this time. And I'm hoping it is. My long-term portfolio is loving it. I mean, just absolutely loving this China move because I was getting killed in those stocks. Yours too, AB. I mean, you just got just the BABA, AB?
Yeah, that's the only Chinese stock I own is Alibaba.
Yeah, and I've got the BABA and the Baidu, and I've got the EEM. So I've had a huge position in EEM for a long time just because I thought valuation, but it's been nothing. I mean, it's been terrible. But I'm getting years of gains here in days. I mean, it's hard not to take it. Like, I mean, chat, what do you do? Do you lighten up into this? Maybe you do. It's a huge move, but
Unbelievable.
you better reload on the dips, though. Tough.
I'm holding
call.
on to mine, Dennis. I still think
I'm with you too. I haven't sold a share of BABA. I want to. I've been trading them from the long side too. Full disclosure, I have a long trade on in BABA as well, but it's tough. It's a tough trade to call here.
All right, well, I do see our special guest of the day hanging out backstage. We've got the Warlock, Mr. Kenny Glick. Without further ado, yeah, look at this guy. He's the deadhead today. Without further ado,
I need Kenny today, man. I need him.
Let's
go. Kenny.
Let's see what Kenny's been trading. What's up, Mr. Glick? How you doing?
Sailor. Sailor.
Yeah. Woo! What's up, boys and girls? 3 weeks out of rehab, and I'm starting to feel really clear and I'm getting that clarity that they talk about. Woo! Or maybe it's manic depression. I'm having one of those episodes where I'm feeling good about myself, only to be in just a depression and living under the desk in about a half an hour. I don't know what it is.
Mania.
Chinese stocks. I'm talking Chinese stocks. What's up?
Mania. The Chinese mania is what's up here, Kenny. Are you playing these things? And holy mackerel, what a turn.
You see this hat? I'm retired, Dennis. I'm retired. All I do now,
sailor now.
All I do now is I go from town to town like David Banner and the Incredible Hulk, tell people how to trade, give them good ideas, and I go to the next town and I play music with my backpack on. I'm hitting the road, kids. We're calling it home gamer. I'm coming to your town. Just send me an email and I'll come to your town with my van. I'm not kidding. We're doing this. We're calling it home gamer. We're going to come to your house. We're going to train you how to trade. And then we're going to leave you there. And we're going to come back and visit, see how you're doing. It's going to be awesome. It's going to be awesome. So 3 weeks ago, I said, here's your trade. When PDD reported those earnings, you know, PDD, they own that stock where I think that's the Temu, right?
Temu, yeah.
Right. Yeah. So Temu, if you don't know about this company, whatever you buy on the internet, they send you an email that you could have had it for 4 cents. Why did you buy that for $30? I can give it to you for 4 cents. What are you doing? And then you send them the 4 cents and you get nothing, but at least you only paid them 4 cents. But seriously, that stock, when that made that turn, I was like, wait a second. We're not done here. And I mean, I don't know if you guys are watching the Qs and the tech sector and the AI and the space and the rockets and all that stuff has been phenomenal. But when you see a turn of an entire country breaking out of a downtrend, I don't care what you think. And let me ask you guys, have you heard this saying? Well, I don't really like Chinese stocks, but you can't ignore that they're breaking out right now. Right? How many times are you going to hear that in the next 2 weeks, right? That is the most popular narrative. You know who started that narrative? Me. Because most Chinese stocks are awful. They're the Puda Coals, they're fake companies, the China Hustle. Most of these stocks are absolutely awful. But when they break out and people are looking for things to do in a bull market that never ends, just join in. 120 was inevitable, baby. 120 was inevitable.
Wow.
So when do you look to sell? Like what do you I mean, you can't be for a position like this, I mean the 1 minute VWAP, or do you go farther out on the VWAP here or what yeah.
Because Carvana has taught me a lesson. Never sell. You got a good trade, hang in there. Because when I sold Carvana at 56 from 1750, I patted myself on the back, even though I thought the stock was going to 96 and 120 and possibly back to 170 where it is now. So when I look at that Alibaba, I look at what happened 2 days ago. You got the 112.50, you overshot it, and then you came back to the 106. That was the people that wanted to get out for the short term. And then it turned yesterday, and the real players are back. Look, Tepper's got our back again. Tepper's back in China. Tepper's not here to make 8 points on Alibaba. Tepper's looking for 220. Tepper's looking for 250. So even though you've missed the 88 to the 120, let it consolidate here. Once this thing breaks 120, you got an easy shot. I'm looking at least 138.50. And again, that's only another 18 points from here. But if
Are you talking about Pinduo Duo?
I'm talking about Alibaba.
Baba.
That's the only one
Baba.
I'm really interested in right now.
Okay.
I mean, I do like some of the lower echelon Chinese stocks like Tiger Woods. You know, Tiger, it's the Robin Hood of China. Sure it is.
Yeah, I heard that. Yep.
Yeah. It's two Chinese kids in a closet wishing they had a Robin Hood account. That's what Tiger is. It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter what these companies are. It doesn't matter if they make money. We're talking technical analysis where nothing matters except price. And it's fantastic when you just isolate what we're doing based on that alone. It takes away all that other bullshit. And it's fan-freaking-tastic. Stocks are coming out of 3-year downtrends. What do you think? They're going to go up for 2 days? No, they're going to rip. And they're going to rip. And then you got to get the sheep in. When the sheep come in and these stocks are up 200%, that's when it'll probably be over. And that hasn't, we're not even near that moment yet. So
hold. Kenny says, hold my Baba. Hold my hold.
Kenny, I got it. Our chat has an incredible memory here. Okay. And Alex Anderson, the trading, there's winning and the losers. Alex asked about Rambus.
I still don't know. It's the one stock. 2 years later, it's the same price. What can I do? I don't know what to tell you. I thought it was going to be 120 by now.
Our chat is just absolutely incredible with their memory. No matter what you do, they can come back. Okay.
But listen, hey, it's not a loser. It's just been if you were in from 37 and you didn't sell some at 80, what can I tell you?
I wish I could scratch all my losers. I wish I could scratch all my bad calls. If I could scratch all my bad calls, I'd make a lot of money.
Oh, yeah. I mean, listen, we could talk about that UVXY trade from August 5th, which basically wiped me out that night. I mean, I was on the wrong side of that volatility explosion. We can't even talk about that right now. I had to go to therapy, literally. I had to go to therapy because that was just, I felt the entire planet was trying to get me that night. It was insane. It was insane. And I actually now have proof that that's the thing about when we die, what happens? I think all those conspiracy theories that you believe in, you'll get a list. Yeah, you're right about that one. You're wrong about that one. You're right about that one. And yeah, you did lose your keys in the Burger King parking lot that day. You schmuck. You should have went back. All right, there you go. All right, that's what's going to happen. So I
got to ask you about the geopolitical situation.
Oh,
I mean, we talk about this stuff a lot, and we have a lot, and I'm not going to say what the views are, but we have a lot of similar views on stuff. I mean, market at all-time highs. The world is fine. Yesterday at the open, 935. I mean, do you just try and just like put all that stuff aside and just trade the VWAP and say, I can't control any of this? Or, does it change your trading style at all?
No, I'm telling you, just only this Chinese stocks have I diverted from the path of righteousness right now. I am a day trader. I am completely liquid. That Rambus trade is basically the only thing I got, and I bought some Alibaba calls. That's it. That's all I have. The intraday action, even on the boring days, there's something to do. So yesterday, I thought it was going to be a boring nothing day, and then suddenly volatility starts to spike, and the market starts rolling over. We're shorting the Qs. 0-date options are crack to the day trader. I mean, here we're able to trade the QQQ for pennies on the dollar, and this thing has 5 or 6 point moves every single day. There is really no reason for me to build a portfolio or to take swing trading, seriously anymore. But as far as the geopolitical stuff, that's the kind of stuff that used to get me in trouble. I'd see rockets flying in the air. The next day I'm coming in. Oh, I got to short something. The whole world's coming to an end. Next thing you know, UVXY tanks and the market's going up. I'm like, what am I doing? What am I doing here? I don't even go on the internet anymore. But I got to tell you something. As far as geopolitical, that debate yesterday made me change my attitude about everything. Those two people should be running for president. Get rid of Trump again. They were articulate. They were polite. They answered the questions. They had thoughtful, insightful responses. That was an amazing moment. And I was sitting there going, I wasn't even going to watch this. Those two, as creepy as they both are in their own way, they're better than the two candidates right now. That's all I'm going to say. But but to your point, that's how you trade. Get laser focused on what you know that works. Volume weighted average price, VWAP or VWAP for some of you. It works. And if you just follow price, it cuts out all the noise. You don't care about earnings, who owns the stock, hedge funds, CEOs, inflation, deflation, or stagflation. It doesn't matter. And that's where I want to live, and that's where I'm going to stay.
Kenny, I mean, right now, I guess, we had the Fed cut interest rates recently. As we're looking forward, there's some more uncertainty about what the Fed's going to do next. Are there certain things that you would be looking at sector-wise if the Fed does continue to cut versus if they hold steady here? Like, how are you playing that situation?
Let me sum it up for you, right? What were they doing? So a couple of years ago, they started to raise interest rates to calm the economy down, to stop inflation. Now they're cutting interest rates to calm the market down, to stop inflation. The bottom line is nobody knows anything, right? Nobody knows anything. The recession that was coming 2 years ago that was going to kill us all never happened. They were going to raise interest rates that was going to kill tech stocks. We rallied every day for 18 months. So that's where I live. I live with the idea that nobody knows anything, and price will tell me what's going to happen next. Like, for instance, just now, the Qs just went green. Stop looking at my pretty face. Buy, get involved. The market's going up right now. And that's all you need to know. When it makes that turn, it's that moment, that turn of positivity. The shorts say, oh, no, not again. We got to cover. The longs that sold yesterday, they say, oh, no, I guess we're going up. We got to buy back in. And then we trend. And that's it. It's the same day. It's almost redundant and monotonous. After doing this for 30 years, you guys know what I'm talking about. It really becomes the same day over and over again. And as long as you don't lose your mind like Groundhog Day, again, when he was living that same day over and over again, Bill Murray, at first he was like, what the hell's going on? And then he was like, I am the Lord. And then he went insane. So try not to go insane and embrace what we're watching here and just enjoy yourself. Come to my website. I'll show you how to do it. I'm telling you, man, go to rehab. It's fantastic. They'll open your eyes. Woo! I'm just kidding about rehab. I only paid $50. I went online to the Better Health thing to see what was going on. She was laughing. She was having a good old time. I said, you should give me $50 for this time. So yeah, that's where I'm at right now. And I appreciate you guys having me on. You guys are all having the greatest year. If it wasn't for that UVXY attack, this would have been a really nice year. But I'm just sitting there just digging out of a ditch, really. Just to be honest with you.
Here's a question for you. How do you avoid those ditches? Because even when you're day trading, sometimes things just run you over, especially with overnight trading. Like, just imagine somebody's long Humana overnight here. They're down 20% all of a sudden on their position. I don't know what they were doing being long Humana. They were trying to be a hero and buy the dip. But just how do you avoid those ditches, like getting caught on the wrong side and really getting run over?
Well, as a day trader, you usually have stops on no matter what.
Not as much news.
And no matter what, you're not holding overnight. The reason I got destroyed was if I had a checklist of what not to do, I checked all those boxes. That's why somewhere I sketched out. I over leveraged, and I was over leveraged, and I met an unprecedented event. Don't go over your head. It's just like gambling. You have to, again, when I used to fight people when they were like, day traders are just like gambling. And I'd be like, no, it's calculated risk. Look at it as gambling. You have to have limits. You have to set goals. You got to know when to cut and run. You got to know when to fold, and just like the song. So as a day trader, you generally don't let the disasters happen until you start holding the overnights, and then you're in the hands of the matrix because anything can happen. So that's kind of how you avoid it. And again, with the UVXY trade, it was because I was over leveraged on naked calls. I was over leveraged on. I was trading the VIX futures that night, and I just got ramrodded. It was unbelievable, and it was an unprecedented event. And you don't know how to react because you've never seen that before. I've never seen the VIX doing what it was doing that night, other than when Tom Hanks got COVID that night, which was pretty scary. But right now, look at the market. Right as we're sitting here, what's happened? The QQQ, our favorite stock, has broken VWAP. It broke over prior day VWAP, and you should be long. And that's just what we do. So if you're long from 481.23 right now, and again, most of us are trading with $30,000, $50,000, maybe $100,000 accounts. We're typical day traders. You're buying 1,000 shares, and here we are. See ya. And now your day's over. So, I mean, it's just it's a better way to trade. It's a better way to do this because you could sleep at night. And if you have trouble sleeping, imagine being, woken up by Israeli rockets and all this stuff going on. It's frightening. And every morning you got to wake up and like, oh my God, I hope my portfolios are right. I don't have to worry about that. So when the market gets hammered, I'm sitting here ready to go. Like if UVXY ever goes up 200-300%, I'm going to call the bank and get a loan to short that thing back down where it goes because it always goes back down.
Kenny, let me ask you about one quick stock before we let you go. Jesse Kaler, in the chat, CMG would like your look at CMG.
Oh my! I mean, who doesn't like Chipotle? I mean, my kids, all I see on their credit cards is Chipotle every other day. Big fan, especially after the split. But I would wait to see if touch that double bottom, that 47.50 area, that 48 area gets down there, buy it again. I love this stock. There's nothing negative about the Chipotle. The other one, that Cava, I don't know. My wife likes it. I went there once. Did nothing for me, but the stock is rocking. But CMG, I don't trade it. I don't look at it. It's more of a buy and hold. Has been forever. It's very illiquid, and I never even look at it. But as far as what's going on today, I mean, stick with the Chinese stocks. If we get the fade, even better. But the uptrend is intact. Stick with them.
Okay. All right. Kenny Glick, you know him as the Warlock. HitTheBid.com. Always good, man. Always good for a laugh. And Kenny, I can't tell you over the years how much we appreciate having you on the show. And we'll be dialing you up again real soon. Kenny, we love you, man.
I appreciate you guys having me on, man. I love you guys. Good luck today, everybody. I'll see you soon.
Thanks,
See you, Kenny. Enjoy retirement.
See you guys. I am every day, baby.
All right, guys, that was the Warlock, of course, Kenny Glick. Hit the bid if you want to go find some more from Kenny on YouTube. All right, guys, we've got about 10 minutes left here. A couple things. I don't know. Did you guys talk about this port strike yesterday while I was out?
We did mention it, and I thought UPS and FedEx could be good plays off of it because of the Barron's article. Well, Barron's was wrong, and I was wrong because I tried buying the UPS and FedEx off the hop, and they went straight down. So that trade did not work out. And what do you do when your trade's not working out? You sell and you take the loss and you move on. You just like Kenny said, day trading is great, because you can limit your losses. It's a little more tricky with overnight trading because sometimes these bad moves really can get violent there, but I mean, you all make calls. We make calls. When the calls are wrong, you don't sit and, well, I can't sell at a loss because, it's not the way to play. We don't sell at losses. If you have that mentality, you will inevitably lose as a day trader. So what I do when my UPS and FedEx openings buys did not work out, I sell them and take the loss.
Yeah. The openings, we always talk about those, the importance, not only for, trying to, enter trades, but, Dennis uses them a lot to exit trades as well. I think we got to, I hate to go back to the Middle East situation here, but nothing moves more off the Middle East uncertainty than oil. And you've had a big move here in crude oil just over the last 2 days. So let's talk some oil stocks here.
I mean, all of them just move together, so you don't even have to talk them individually. Just talk XLE because it covers everything. I mean, we're moving up here again. Chevron, Exxon are like 40% of the XLE or something crazy like that. Conoco, Oxy, just pick your stock and they're going. Now, if escalations de-escalate, does oil get hit back? Maybe. One thing to consider with oil stocks, though, is the valuations are dirt cheap here, too. Not saying it's another China trade, but when you have story coupled with ridiculously cheap valuations, these stories can move a lot longer than you think. And most of these oil stocks, I mean, let's just go to our trusty Benzinga Pro here, AB, bring up Exxon Mobil, 13 times earnings, bring up Chevron. What is it? Chevron at 13, 14, guessing. Bueller, slow. This is my internet, maybe. Not blaming the Pro, but I'm having trouble bringing up the CVX. Regardless, there it is. CVX is 11 times earnings. I mean, when you have stocks trade 10, 11, 12 times earnings, and all of a sudden they have a story, you see violent short squeezes. You see people jumping in. You see chasing. You see a lot of things like that. Right now, we got escalation still happening. We haven't seen
Yeah,
any
there you
de-escalation.
go.
If you think Israel is not going to retaliate, of course they're going to retaliate. This is what they do. They're going to retaliate. I mean, it's hard to just end these things. It's like, okay, they were one and done. They threw some missiles at us. Okay, it's okay. We're just going to call a peace treaty now. It's probably not going to happen. So if you're short in oil saying, well, this is just, we know it's going to go back down, it's like short in China right now. You got a hot story and cheap valuations, and that is dangerous for sure.
Yeah, that CVX has a nice dividend too. ExxonMobil made that big acquisition of Pioneer, and maybe it took a while, but maybe get some synergies. This is right back at almost at all-time highs here, and relative to the price of oil, it's really a strong outperformance. Oxy, boy, I haven't heard anything about Warren, but Oxy's getting a nice boost up here, looking to move over that $54 area. So there's a bunch of oil
Well,
stocks.
I saw where Oxy's spending some of its money yesterday.
Where's that?
If you were watching the Astros Tigers game in Houston, of course, like the energy capital of the United States, every sponsor in the besides of course Minute Maid the juice was basically energy. So the Astros players had an Oxy patch on their jersey. In the outfield, you had Energy Transfer, had one, Chevron, Exxon, any oil company you could think of, they've got some sort of advertisement at Minute Maid Park. So if you watch the game today at 2:30, look out for that. I was noticing.
I think I have a problem, and my wife, has told me this for years, is that I don't notice those advertisements. I mean, I watch hockey games nonstop, and I couldn't tell you what's on the boards. I just don't notice it. I get so into what I'm doing that I don't notice other things. It's like tunnel vision. So I'm watching the game. I don't even notice those Oxy patches. I mean, some people notice all that stuff. I'm like the opposite. I don't notice any of those things. I can watch that game, and now that you've told me it, I'll notice it. But I would never. I could probably watch that game, 1,000 times and not notice, what that little Oxy patch that there.
Well, I only noticed it because I was like, oh, I wonder what Warren thinks about Oxy spending money on the jersey sponsorship. And then when I saw the Energy Transfer logo on the outfield wall, I was like, I haven't looked at that stock in a while. So I was just thinking about it from like the stock perspective, being like, oh, I should look at Oxy stock, But what's cool about the hockey ads, Dennis, and I know what they've started doing now, is when you're watching an away game. So say the Leafs are playing like, Florida, for example, they'll superimpose ads.
Oh, I know that. And that I do notice. That's brutal.
For your local stuff on Florida's board. So you're watching the thing, and then you'll start getting like ads for your growth. It'll look as
that's annoying.
It'll look as if there's a Canada grocery store having an ad in Florida's ice rink. And the first time I saw that, I was like, what's going on here? Because they were showing like, St. Louis specific ads on away games. But whoever made that technology to do that, I mean, it's a genius idea. And they probably made a lot of money off of it, but it does look a little weird. And I'm not the biggest fan
I don't like the big one they put on the hockey boards right behind the net. They like plaster it all over the glass right behind the net. I do notice that one, and I don't never notice what it says, but I just notice it's just annoying to look at. I mean, clutter is just everywhere. It's the one thing too about advertising, you just get lost in the clutter.
Yeah.
So it's difficult to just say, like if, as an advertiser, even like, I mean, a lot of these dollars, it just got to be wasted because there's just so much clutter, like the boards. This ads everywhere.
I mean, Dennis, you spend a lot of time on Twitter, on X. How often do you like look at an ad on X, or do you just scroll right past it? You just scroll right past it.
Oh,
Facebook, you go on that thing.
Will not.
Facebook,
oh my god,
orders advertisements. You like, what's your friend doing? You go ding, 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 ding. Oh, there's a friend. Oh, there's an ad, and this celebrity's doing this or that. Bunch of junk, man. The advertisements just out of hand.
Twitter will not stop advertising to get no ads.
Yeah.
It's like, and I'm like, because you can do following or for you, and like whenever I click, I'm like, I don't want to ad about no ads. Just don't put the ad in there. But what did I want to mention here? Oh, the Tigers and the helmets. I don't know if it was on the Stros too. The Strauss.
Yeah,
I've never seen that before.
Well,
and I just had. Yeah, it's a
I looked
German
that up
company.
yesterday too. That's new, and it's for all the batting helmets. So both the Astros and the Tigers, and every team is wearing that. It's a German workwear company. So it's like
Mhm.
America's pastime is getting sponsored by now a German company on the batting helmets. Come on, we should have had McDonald's on there or something like that. Something a little bit more American on the batting helmets there. All right, I'm seeing a lot of people in the chat talking about this Joby stock. I don't know anything about it, or I haven't seen the news, but it sounds
Joby
like
Aviation.
maybe a partnership with Toyota. Let me get the exact headline.
I've followed. We talked about it a couple days ago. It's the helicopter service, isn't it? Joby Aviation. They do like the drone, like the helicopters. Like
Joby Aviation shares are trading higher after the company announced that Toyota will invest in an additional 500 mil to support the certification and commercial production of the electric air taxi.
yeah, it's those
Oh, Dennis,
helicopters.
does this scare you about the robo taxi?
No,
Okay.
not at all.
No.
Dennis,
what's the price? What is the price to get an air taxi?
Dennis, nothing
Oh.
could scare you off the Tesla thesis, off the Tesla trade.
Wow.
Well, yeah, for sure. You know what scares me the most about the Tesla trade is Musk, his voice. That's what scares me the most. The biggest risk to the Tesla bull thesis is what Musk could potentially say. Like, because he says stuff and it pisses people off. I mean, could he say something that offends his entire customer base and everybody boycotts buying Teslas? He's kind of done it already.
He's kind of
sometimes.
he's kind of cooled his jets on that thing.
A little bit, but you never know
Yeah.
what he might say, Joel. Like, I think
I
that's the
know.
biggest risk. The stuff he does is nothing. The stuff that's been accomplished is nothing short of incredible. The biggest risk to Tesla is what Musk might potentially say. I'm not worried about Joby Aviation, where you're going to have air taxis. Like, what's it cost for one of these things? You want to ride an air taxi? What are they marketing to, like the 0.1%? No, I'm telling you, they're not going to show up at your door for $20, drive you to where you want to go, or $50 in a helicopter. It's not happening. So this is marketing to very, very high end, clients. So this is nothing to do with RoboTaxi.
No, I know. I was kind of kidding about that part, but
No, but it's a point, like there's competition all over the place, people trying to eat lunches of everything. But I think, worrying about, where, competition might be, and obviously Joby may be a joke, but there's competition all over the place. I mean, Uber, does it scare me more that, Uber's doing deals with Cruise and, now Waymo's expanding? And yeah, that's a concern. I mean, they're in the market. I mean, Tesla's still not there. Tesla's trying to do without LiDAR. Maybe that was a mistake. Tesla was on LiDAR 5 years ago. And then they said they scrapped it because they wanted it to be more, obviously, be able to mass produce at cheaper costs. And LiDAR wasn't going to help them there. So he called LiDAR a crutch 5 years ago. Tesla was using LiDAR and they got rid of it. Maybe that was a mistake. It's possible because Waymo's already operational. But, we'll find out more here from RoboTaxi Day 2. But lots to think about. And Tesla deliveries are coming, folks. Like
Okay.
imminent. Yeah, in 15 minutes, right?
Imminent. Okay, it's 9:00. We're gonna go a little overtime today. I've dialed up a guest here from Wedbush Securities. Arthur Bass is going to be joining us. He's in charge of the fixed income and financing over there. Tomorrow's guest, just a little preview, will be Christian Fromhertz. But you got the intro there? Are you ready to roll our intro? For
Let's
Mr.
do
Bass?
it.
Okay.
Let's bring Mr.
All right.
Bass on the stream.
All right, Arthur Bass. He's the managing director of fixed income over there at Wedbush Securities. Also doing financing and keeping an eye on interest rates here. Mr. Bass, how you doing today?
I'm doing great. I appreciate being on your show. Thank you for having me.
Okay. All right. Well, there's a lot of things going on in the market. And, sometimes, we focus on different things. But the big focus earlier in the week before we had the geopolitical news was Powell and interest rates here. And, they're not asking me. I didn't know, an interest rate cut with the market at all-time highs, a 0.5 point. Well, they do what they do. But your last note here in September, maybe another 50, maybe not. Give us your take here on the current interest rate environment.
Here's my take in a nutshell. Okay, markets don't know. I don't think the Fed knows. Probabilities for the November and December meetings, the next two meetings, have ranged from as low as 25% probability of a 50 basis point move to as high as a 60% probability. We're right now pricing, as of, let me just look at my sheet, we're pricing roughly a 35% probability of a 50 in November and a 40% probability in December. My view is I think they're going to go 25 and 25. There's a school of thought that says, hey, the Fed should have done something in July, and the 50 may have been a catch-up. I take my thoughts, one, from Powell's comments. He said in the press conference last week that nobody should take the fact that we moved 50 today as a sign that this is going to be our pace ongoing. And then he also stated in his comments, he spoke 2 days ago, he said the risks are two-sided. And in the question and answer, he said, this is not a committee that feels it needs to cut rates quickly. So I look at this that, okay, fine, we had the 50 basis point move. Right now, I think they're heading towards the 25. If you also look at the Fed dots, I don't know if you're familiar in the summary of economic projections, only one member projected a 25 and a 50 basis point move by the year end 24. I mean, they project rates for the year end 24, 25, 26, but there's only two more meetings in 2024. Only one member projected a 50 basis point move then. 9 projected 225 basis point moves. 7 just 125 basis point moves, and 2 projected no more moves. So, I mean, it's certainly a range of projections. The median is a 25 at each meeting. But the key, Joel, is the numbers are going to dictate it. I mean, we had the ADP number this morning was a little bit better than expected, but ADP has not been a good estimate of the employment number. Employment number is expected to be 145 to 150. But it's kind of interesting because last month they had that downward revision announced in the Bureau of Labor Statistics that they're going to revise down the employment number by 818,000 for the last 12 months, which will start taking effect next year. So everybody just divides that by 12 and they say, okay, fine, every number might be 68,000 higher than expected. So there's the market has a little bit of a little
bit of a bias. What about, I mean, you mentioned the ADP numbers. We have jobs number on Friday. We have some inflation data coming out. And of course, Powell said he's not on a preset course. Are they maybe on a preset course? And do you think the numbers that are coming out, those economic data points, which kind of had muted reaction in the markets, do you think the Fed is actually waiting to make the decision based on that data?
I think they're waiting to make their decision on 2 pieces of data. One, the employment numbers, okay? And we've had an uptick in the unemployment rate, primarily because the number of participants has increased. And you can take that from the immigration we've had, and that there are more people looking for work, not that there are less jobs. That's what caused the uptick in unemployment. But obviously, when unemployment upticked to
4.3 or something like that.
It ticked off the SOM rule. That if 3-month average of unemployment goes a half a point over the lowest level, then that's a predictor of a recession. And it's had a great track record. She herself kind of downplayed it because of the increase in the labor supply, but nevertheless, that's one indicator people are looking at for recession. The other is a negative yield curve, both of which have been very, very good predictors of recession. But so far, we haven't seen it in the economic numbers. I mean, the Atlanta Fed is now projecting 2.5%, revised down from 3%. For third quarter GDP. Second quarter was 3%. 3% growth is good growth. I mean, that's not record high stocks 3% growth, the Fed shouldn't be cutting aggressively if you look at that.
I agree. What credence would you give to the theory? And I thought about this after because I admit I've been poo-pooing that the rates going down. I think stability for longer is better for the banks. Obviously, the consumer, a lot of companies want lower rates. But what kind of validity you give to the fact that they did the half? And then the day after the election is the next Fed meeting. They just kind of want to, who knows what the state of the market is going to be then. Wouldn't that be a good excuse? They did the half and then they stand pat and then get a couple more months of data, then decide to go,
That could happen.
quarter, half at the end of the year.
That could happen. And I think it depends upon the data. I mean, pure and simple. And it's also the inflation data. If you remember a year ago, we had very soft data towards the end of last year in terms of inflation data. The Fed was prepping the markets for the first ease in the first quarter. We then had in the, from CPI, I'm just looking at my numbers, core CPI, the first couple months of last year, you had December was a 0.3, January was a 0.4, February was a 0.4. March rounded up to a 0.4, that all of a sudden you went from the Fed prepping markets to ease. Oh my goodness, did they need to tighten again? We had a big downdraft in fixed income prices, uptick in rates, and then we started getting softer numbers again. So, I mean, a lot of this really depends upon, do we continue to get the softer inflation numbers, because they need that to be able to ease. I mean, yes, they're worried about the employment part of their mandate, because the inflation part is now subdued, but that has to stay subdued. And I say that knowing that we've got a Middle East war going on, which escalated yesterday. Maybe if Ukraine ever gets the use of the long-range missiles, Russia oil production could be in danger. They've already knocked out a number of their production. That there's a lot of variables going on when you have two live wars happening that could certainly impact inflation as well.
Arthur, what about right now, just the health of the overall economy, interest rates aside, because, we talk about unemployment ticking higher, but it's still relatively low if you look at where unemployment has been the last 10 years. Inflation has come down a lot. Wages are increasing. But I think if you talk to most people or you ask most people, they still don't feel like the economy is doing that well, even though it's far exceeded, economists' expectations, where everyone was expecting a recession in the, a couple of years ago. Where do you think we're at, and why do you think that is, that people feel like it's worse than it might actually be?
I think it's a very good point you made, and partly it's looking at the numbers. I mean, the fact that 818,000 is a huge revision for employment. And we know that the birth-death assumption, which refers to new businesses and businesses dying out, really got off kilter during COVID. But if you look at during the year, there's been a tremendous difference between the household survey that the Bureau of Labor Statistics does, which is where the unemployment rate comes from, and the establishment survey. I mean, the 6-month average establishment survey increased 163,000, the 3-month 116,000. The 6-month average increase in the household survey was only 78,000 a month, a lot less, although the 3-month was very similar, 117,000. I think part of that 818,000 revision really is reconciling those two statistics, which have been out of sync all year. I think the other reason, Aaron, that people are just not feeling well is go to the grocery store. I mean, just, what are you buying and how much are you paying? I think inflation's understated in terms of what, prices are. I mean, obviously they've got their baskets that they do, but it's hard to keep up with changes in that. I think people are the average consumer is pinching pennies.
All right, Arthur. Great information there. Arthur Bass, he's a managing director over there at Wedbush Securities, covering the fixed income, the futures, and giving us a good look at interest rates. Arthur, I really appreciate getting up early this morning for us, and we'll be dialing you up perhaps in November after the next Fed meeting. We appreciate your input as always.
Okay, thank you again for having me.
Okay, hey, real quick, Tesla delivery numbers there. What are you seeing, Aaron?
Oh, I thought they were coming out at 9:15. That's what someone said in the chat. Looks like they already came out potentially.
Yep, I think what.
And
Go ahead. Man.
deliveries, production of 470,000, deliveries of 463. So I don't know what we were looking for, but
In line.
yeah, maybe.
Okay. I'm just going to go over the price action here real quick. You did get a spike up to 260. That exceed what was the high of the move? The high of the move? Nope, not quite there. That was also below the closing high of the move. Sellers have come in here, right? Sellers have definitely come in here. But I'm just going to go to the daily here, and you had really a major string of higher lows, and that was broken yesterday. So I'm just going to look at that number. I don't know if Triple D is still listening. Is that 246.53? I'd say, no, it's 248.53. I'd say to keep an eye on that number. If the Bulls can hold 248.53, I think they're still in control. I think you lose that 248.53 and you got some more downside there in Tesla. But folks, thanks for staying on. We're cutting into to live trading. Christian Fromhertz is going to be our guest tomorrow. Aaron, any final comments?
No, make sure to come back tomorrow, 8 a.m., of course, with Fromhertz. Stay tuned for live trading starting up after this. Good to be back today. Thank you to everyone who tuned in to Pre-Market Prep. Smash the like if you haven't already. And with that, Joel, we're signing off. We'll see you guys tomorrow morning.